Hello, everyone. So, I watched the Leo King's Deep Love Tarot this morning because, again, I went to bed at like 1 something, between 1 and 2, and I opened my eyes when it wasn't light outside, and then I opened my eyes when it was light outside, and it was like 6:40 something. So, you know, not getting much sleep. Not that it's necessarily affecting me in a bad way, it's just more inconvenient than anything, I guess, to be going to bed so late and waking up so early. It's not that I feel exhausted all the time, but it's like, why am I not sleeping more? Right? And so I got up for a little bit. I watched that. I ate some cookies because my grandma made cookies, and I already ate all of them. And now I want more, but it's fine. Um, so I watched that, and then I went to bed, and yeah, some interesting stuff with astrology. And apparently, so like, we're gonna have this full moon on the 7th, and then Saturn is gonna retrograde. I don't know if it's Saturn and then Jupiter and then Venus, or if it's Venus and then Saturn and then Jupiter. But on the 14th, I think I checked the 14th. Um, on the 14th or the 15th, I don't remember, because I think Venus retrogrades on the, is it the 11th? Is it 11, 12, 13? Oops, sharpshooter. Okay, yeah. It's like get to the point. All right. Okay, I'm going to keep this short because I got work to do. Anyway, Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus are all going to be retrograde. And by someday, it's like they're all going to be retrograde. Mars is going to be in Pisces. Just like lots of stuff going on. The nodes just flipped, so we are officially in Gemini North Node, Sagittarius South Node. Um, and I made the video yesterday, like two videos yesterday, about the university that's been in my inbox, right? And I just checked my email again before I came on here. And because of the COVID-19 and everything going on, they actually extended all of the deadlines until the end of the month, which is nice because I think I may actually apply. Yesterday was like a huge wake up call for me. I feel like there's a lot of like internal sort of self work I was doing. And yesterday I was able to reach the space where I'm like, you know what? Like, it's not too late to keep dreaming, I guess. Like, the dream hasn't died yet. I could still have this dream if I wanted this dream. Like, do you want this dream? And I don't know if it was the excitement or if it was the kind of sort of synchronicity between the songs I've been hearing about, like, work not working, between all of the messages I've been saying about overseas travel, about relocation and stuff like that. And, like, relocation was already a thing. Overseas travel was something that I wanted to do, right? But like relocating overseas, I'm like, wow. And it's actually like, I'm extremely excited by the idea. And all of the potential prospects, not just, cute dudes and stuff like that, but other stuff as well. Um, I mean, like pursuing kind of sort of what it is that I actually wanted to pursue. And I've been in this space lately of like the things that I want have changed, but now is this second opportunity. Excuse me. And I'm not gonna lie, part of me is like, is this something that I still want? It's like I manifested this additional opportunity, right? Because of my excitement to do it. But is this something that I still want? And honestly, kind of sort of at the end of the day, it's almost the space of like, why not both? And I've been kind of sort of like hoping for a little bit of direction, but also trying to find it within myself as far as like something that I actually want to do, right? And then this thing comes along, and so it doesn't hurt to apply. And it's actually an application for a scholarship to this university. So, like, applying for a scholarship is a lot less difficult than actually like deciding to go or not, right? Because let's say that it's like a full ride scholarship, and then I get it, and then I'm faced with that decision. But I think the point is to make these decisions up front. Like, life is short, but also like I'm still young, and we can go at any time. But uncertainty and fear is no longer a space that I make decision from. So I'm excited, and I guess I'm gonna pursue it. And I've just been getting like so many syncs in so many different ways, and so many things lately have just been like happening and working out. Like I'm gonna be able to see my best friend who I haven't seen in so long. If everything, sort of peters out by like the end of the summer, like late summer, I'm gonna get to see them because it just so happened that like ticket prices were extremely cheap. And my friend is actually going to be relocating, like, you might as well say 2 months. Ooh, sharpshooter in that. Holy see. Ooh, this Taurus about to fly like an eagle into the sea. And the eagle is representative of Scorpio energy, fun fact. And we're about to come up on the Scorpio new moon, so perfect timing. But so many things have just been like synchronizing and lining up. Like, because my friend literally just told me, like, a day or two, like between a day and 3 days before my mom like woke me up at like 2 something in the morning talking about how cheap the plane tickets were. Oh, that's a lot. Told me that she was going to be relocating to the area, and then here are these super cheap round trip tickets to the area, and I've never been to. I'm going to Vegas, right? And so I've never been to Vegas, and I'm like, wow. And now I have a friend there, and it's like my mom's going to be doing her own thing, and so I'm going to have time. And it's just like, how did that happen? Like, did not expect that at all. Like, what? Hello? Okay, so it's only 8 cards. I'm actually gonna pull a ninth from the bottom of the deck, and this won't be the thing. This will be a little bit longer of a daily bite. Oop, and of course it's that outlaw. We actually saw the outlaw yesterday. We saw the hollow void yesterday too. So at the heart of these 9 cards is the giver, which is about reciprocity, equal give and take. Man, I feel like this is about choices, and I don't know if this is related. I don't know if, like, since Venus is about to go retrograde, if things are easier to manifest. Because Venus being the energy of the Empress, being kind of sort of the manifestive, as the planet of manifestive energy, if you think about it. But that's more like a passive manifestation, where I feel like Mercury would be a planet of like active manifestation, and then Mars would be a planet of like taking things. But also Jupiter, the fortune in Jupiter. Anyway, this was interesting though, because on there's only one axis that isn't like completely surrounded by majors, and it's the demon and the haunt. But around this, we kind of sort of have the lovers and the tower. We have the force and the outlaw, the hollow void and the scarlet shield. No, the ebony shield. The hollow void and the ebony shield. And then the lovers in the tower again. So this is interesting. And sitting at the middle is the giver. I feel like this is that cooperation. This is maybe the passing of tests to unlock increased ability, just to manifest things easier. But with this lovers, I feel like choice is like prime. Like, so in the space of the past, it would be the element of great choice. Maybe we've come to a space where we are being called out of that space of indecision, with this being the lovers. And then with the tower, sort of in the future, it's about shaking things up. Uranus is in Taurus right now. And for me personally, Uranus is conjuncting my ascendant. And then it's going to be coming from my moon, because I'm a Taurus moon and rising. So it's like in my first house. Actually, it's still in my 12th house right now, I believe. But it's going to be coming into my first house. And so I feel like in the future, it's like things are going to change up regardless. And it's almost like in this space of great, I don't know why cosmic is the word that came to mind, but I guess I'll go with it. In this space of great cosmic change also comes the ability for great personal change. Like huge, drastic changes while everything else is sort of changing and mutable. Sitting on the ground is the hunt, and in the sky is this demon. And so this is a lot of anxiety, sort of fear, uncertainty. And it's like if you give into this, It's like you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you just got to go through it. And what you have to go through is this tower, right? Because like if you try to go under it, or if you try to undermine, I don't know why undermine, but if you try to undermine other people, I feel like that'd be giving into your own shadow, and that'd be keeping you stuck, hanging yourself up to dry. But at the same time, if you try to get over it, then it's like you have to face this demon and then this ebony shield. And I feel like the ebony shield is the most sort of steadfast queen, because like you have the shields and then you have earth. Like that thing is never gonna move. Like you're never gonna get past that. That's the energy of like an insurmountable sort of barrier. And it's giving me like elephant energy. Because elephants are symbolic of, or elephants called to Lord Ganesha, right? But elephants can either like cross insurmountable boundaries, or they can like erect insurmountable boundaries, right? And then sort of backing this decision, we have the force, and then we have the hollow void. So I feel like, is this like, are you going to have, and I feel like I've been saying this a lot, are you going to have the strength to claim what it is that you've been manifesting, or are you going to stay in that energy of keep wanting? Like either you're going to take it or you're going to want it. Are you going to take it or are you going to want it? Because with this giver right here sitting in this present energy, and with this tower coming, with this outlaw, like if I try to zoom out right now, it's like love is a thing, yes, but I feel like it's more so about choice, right? Then we have this energy of like kind of sort of being kept up or held up by indecision, wanting something versus going for it. Are we going to continue to desire it, or are we actually going to do it? With this hangman, it's like in the moments of slowness with the hangman in the tower. I'm kind of feeling some of these as like 2x2s, right? So when it comes to the force versus the demon, like, are you going to have the strength to break the chains, and are you going to have the strength to operate in these unknown spaces? Or are you going to stay confined to toxic comfortability, right? And then when it comes to this outlaw versus this tower, it's like in these moments of rest, in these moments of like stillness, have you gone inside to discover what it is that you need to heal or not? With this tower, like, are you going to have again the strength to sort of allow this tower to fall and to erect a new tower as you move forward? With this queen of pentacles and with this giver, it's like, are you going to be open to everything that the world has to offer, open to everything that you've been manifesting, or are you going to be closed off to it, and only are you only going to be like, are you going to be so selective with what you take? Are you going to be so slow to make decisions that you make and allow some things, sorry, not that you make, but that you allow some things to pass you by? With this 9 of swords and this 4 of chalices, the haunt and the hollow void, it's like, are you going to continue to live with decisions that you regret not making, with risks that you regret not taking? Or are you going to open your eyes at this moment where everything is coming in, and are you going to accept this cup? And ultimately, like this lovers is the odd man out, right? That's all about choices. Are you going to choose to be happier than you ever thought you could be? Are you going to choose all of those wild dreams? With this outlaw, also the dreamer, right? Symbolic of Neptune. But it's like the dreams that you've been dreaming will completely change the way that you've structured your life. I don't know. All right, let me get into this. This is long enough. I just think it's like absolutely wild that things continue to happen. And like I already had my vacation funds, like I've already like taken out my vacation funds, right? And I really kind of sort of wanted to go back to London. But now I'm also open to like, it's like, I don't know if I should go back to London or if I should see somewhere new, right? Ooh, Ace of Cups and the Archangel Glory at the cup. But it's like, I just set that aside, and now I'll get another vacation And on that vacation, New World Order and the Bread of Life, I'll get to see like one of my best friends, and I cannot wait. That's gonna be so exciting. It's been such a long time. Ace of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, Sacred Cinnabar and the Bread of Life at the cut. And now it's like all of this travel and travel, like with the money, and I've been really intent on Wheel of Fortune and the Initiate. Let's get this wheel. It's like, let's get the ball rolling. Like, let's really get it rolling. Like, we want to blow his mind, and it's already blown. Wheel of Fortune and that Emperor. Maybe some Emperor are gonna be trying to come in too, but honestly I feel like that's more about taking an Emperor status in your own life and no more of that like passive sideline stuff. Like, nah. Vagabond and the Empress. Oh wow. So the Emperor came out with the Wheel of Fortune, but the Empress is coming out with this Five of Pentacles. I don't know, maybe that means the Emperor has decided to move in a direction. Oop, 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 oop. But now this Vagabond is with the Ace of Cups. So maybe someone who was left out by something else, it's like they're going to get their own. Like, you're always going to get yours if you're in the space that you're supposed to be in. Always. Ooh, now with the Holy See and this Corruptor, I feel like that's speaking to sort of built foundations. Our foundations built upon vices. Maybe vices keeping someone from coming in. And again, those vices beat out the foundation. So the foundation is going to change. And with the Scarlet, with the Golden Shield, which is the Queen of Wands, it's going to kind of sort of going to give rise to things that you actually want. Right? But to not go too far into those vices either. Man, it'll be a little longer today, but that's fine. Two of Pentacles and the Eight. Two of Orbs and the Two of Chalices. Sorry. The Journeyman and the Joined One. The journey to find your soul partner, maybe. I don't know. Now we have, the Joined One and that Chariot. So maybe the Emperor and the Empress is coming back together. Maybe the Empress was left out by somebody that she thought was the Emperor. But when she was in the space of that cold, it caused her to seek connection in a way that she never would have sought before. And when she got her own connection to a certain level, it kind of sort of drew in the person who was meant to be there. Oh, wow. So we have the Messenger, the Stronghold of the Zephyrs with this Joined One again. So the Joined One is still going to be at the cut. Let's see. Now we have the Dynasty with the Joined One, Two of Chalices into the Ten of Pentacles. Things are beginning to move. And things, I feel like, although, and for me personally, like I said, like that is one of the dreams that I have, but I have many dreams. And they can all come true. All right, I'm gonna start for the thing today now. So first card is going to be the left flank. Middle card is going to be the area of interest. Right, third card is going to be the right flank. Right. But it's like I have a lot of dreams, and I'm open to all of them, and anything is possible. And the timing and the way that it works is all fluid. And I don't know, it's like things are really, really starting to take off. And what I don't feel right now is hesitation. And what I don't feel is fear. And one of the things that I didn't say, that almost came out. One of the things that I didn't say in the video yesterday was that if that opportunity had come any earlier, with the Keeper and the Stronghold of the Zephyrs again. Hold up. Okay, yeah, because when I shuffle them, they'll be upright. Okay, I was like, why is this in reverse? That's like coming into that deep understanding. Like with this Keeper, and this is the space that I've kind of sort of been in. Because it's about looking at the opportunities beyond just the opportunities. Because I feel like the wheel is going to be turning on a lot of things right now. And I personally just made a decision that it's like I made a choice and I made a decision for the first time. I made a decision to leave indecisiveness behind, but I feel like I'm coming into these spaces where I may seem a little indecisive, but it's because, like, you know, does this fit the path that I'm currently setting for myself? Or is this another opportunity for me to just take something convenient? Now we have the Keeper and the Sun card, really bringing light to these situations, right? Because the Stronghold of the Zephyrs is a messenger from the unseen realms, but the Sun is seen. But it's all about doing things in a different way as well. Because this sun is the warrior. We had that Page of Swords. The Page of Swords has delivered the sword. It took a minute, you know, but I have the sword now and I'm ready to fight. Like, oh, I have the sword now and I'm ready to fight. Sacred Cinnabar, Ace of Swords with this warrior. The warrior has received her sword and she is ready to fight. I love that. Um, but yeah, it's like, let's see, first card, first card. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna acknowledge all of these. This is gonna be a longer bite today. That's fine. Bottom of the deck is the healer. When we're coming up on these great choices with the lovers again, I've never seen the lovers so much in my life. Besides, like the past few days, I feel like the cards I immediately see are the Magus, the Magician at the bottom, and then this Archangel of Mysteries at the top, the angel who illuminates the shadow. And again, I'm going to read all of these, or not like read them, but I'm going to note them. I'll follow the story. But this is getting me back to what I was saying with the lovers, this Archangel of Mysteries, and this healer at the bottom of the deck. Like, if I would have gotten that any earlier, I wouldn't have been in a space to accept it. If I would have actually read those emails, I wouldn't have been in a space to accept it. And I've been doing a lot of growing. I've been doing a lot of healing. And I would have probably, like, applied for it because I would have reached a similar space. But without the work that I've recently done, and that work being with this lovers, the ability to actually make a choice and to follow through with that choice, and then to evaluate things as they come in on a basis of the choice and the trajectory and the path that I set for myself. Because, like I said before, I was just in a space of kind of sort of accepting the first thing that I manifested, accepting the first thing that was convenient, accepting the first thing that was easy. But, like, even if this is another easy, convenient step that sort of follows a paradigm that I set forth before everything changed, right? Because that's ultimately still the space that I made that decision out of. I made this decision out of an old paradigm, and so to see it furthered now doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right choice to make, but it doesn't mean that it's the wrong choice to make either. And the point is, like I've been saying, like, you know, we have the keys and we're being asked to drive. The point is coming into this self-sovereignty. And so I apologize to the ancestors, but at the same time, everything I said was true, right? Because it's like life is meant to be lived. And I feel like it's really easy once it's like hindsight is 2020, right? And it's like, you know, it's almost the energy of like, and I don't want to say it in any kind of disrespectful way, but it's like a parent, right? Like, I've made these mistakes in my lifetime, and you're someone I care about, and I don't want to see you make these same mistakes. But who's to say that some of these mistakes, or who's to say that what was a mistake in your time, what was mistaken for you is the wrong path for me, right? Because even though they're ancestors, even though they're parents, even though we sort of share the same bloodline, in a lot of ways we share the same kind of sort of falls, and we sort of share similar strengths as well, but still all of our paths are unique and all of our paths are different. And who's to say that, like, what was a mistake for you won't be one of my greatest successes, and won't be one of my greatest challenges, and won't be the way that I break these cycles that we've been stuck in, right? There's this sort of element of autonomy, but it's coming into that autonomy with, it's like with a less decisive energy. And also at the same time, for me in particular, I had to come into the space where I did, like, gotta, like, warrior is part of my calling. Honestly, it's part of who I am, and it's kind of sort of how I'm wired, even though I don't necessarily like to, but I have this very, like, Libran sort of, like, energy about me. And maybe honestly, it might be a little bit more mercurial. It might be a little more Gemini. Like, my South Node is in Gemini, North Node is in Sagittarius. But I kind of sort of settle on Libra because Libra is the arbitrator. Oh, that's the word. Hey Siri, define arbitrator.
Arbitrator means an independent person or body officially appointed to settle a dispute.
Yes. I think that's the, because I was like, I was pulling some cards, and the Emperor and the Tower came out. And the word that popped into my head was like the abdicator. And but when I typed it, it autocorrected to abdicator. And like, I was like so shook because I was like, wow, the ancestors really just like called me out. And The abdicator basically is like someone who quits like way too easily. It's like someone who gives up a position, someone who resigns a position. It's like a quitter. I was like, wow, call me out. But then I was like, educator was what I was like really looking for. And then the educator is someone, it's kind of like an abdicator, but I'll just show y'all. Hey Siri, no, it's adjudicator, sorry. I'll just have Siri define all of these. So, educator or abdicator. Wait, hold on. Yeah, abdicator was someone officially appointed to settle disputes. Hey Siri, define abdicator.
The definition of the word abdicator is one who formally relinquishes an office or responsibility.
Right. Hey Siri, define adjudicator.
Adjudicator means a person who adjudicates.
Hey Siri, define adjudicate.
Adjudicate means make a formal judgment or decision about a problem or disputed matter.
Yeah. So there was kind of sort of like anyway, I don't gotta get necessarily as deep into all of the stuff I did for myself as I am. But when the abdicator was the first thing that it autocorrected to, I was like, wow, to give up that position, but the position being sort of that kind of sort of in between Libran type of energy. And I already forgot where I'm going with this, but I'm sure I'll get back there. And it's something that like it also like popped out, and I read the entry for one of the cards that I've never read, and it was the Two of Pentacles Nocturne, because that's something else that came out. And basically I'm not gonna go too far into it. I'll just say that the Akashic records are something that's been a sync for me before I even knew what they were. Like I went looking for my own story in a dream, and it was the first fully lucid dream I had where I actually got to do something, right? Um, and the first thing I did was I went looking for my story, and I found myself in this library. It was huge. It was like when I first went there, it was like I was an ant in a library size for humans, or a human in the library size for giants, and everything was like so big, and it was empty when I first got there. And when I first get there, it's like I had to conjure or summon in this lucid dream a guide to get me to go where I was going. And I was like, take me to like where my story is. And there were actually a few books there, and I was surprised. The desk was still big, but it was like more manageable. And of course, when I picked up my life story, I go right to the end of the book for some reason. And I couldn't read any of it. I could like make out some kind of words in it because I took Latin. And I guess that's how my brain chose to show me that like it's like you can't start here. So when I went to the beginning of the book, I could actually read it, but when I started reading, I started freaking out about waking up, and then I woke up, right? That's the first time. And then I actually had two more dreams when I went to the library, but the second and the third time I went, it was different. It was actually smaller, and there were people in there. I was like, wow. And then I actually saw my sister. And it's interesting because Seattle, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get all the way super deep into it, but today isn't going to be a bite because I'm already like half an hour in. Oh, well. I saw my sister the second time I went to the library. And this is a sister, I've seen her one time in my life, and we talk to each other on like Instagram, honestly, sometimes. And I was like, what are you doing here? And a few years ago, I randomly got a pool to live in Seattle. And now that I'm finishing everything up, and honestly, I thought about it, and I was like, well, maybe I am supposed to go to Seattle. Like I said, when Hemi said, like, Washington, D.C., I was like, well, I'm not thinking D.C., but, like, Seattle is in Washington, and it's like a link. Um, so my brother recently-ish, relocated to the Washington area, like a few years ago. My sister, who I saw in the dream, just got a job in Seattle, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was called to Seattle. Why are we all sort of navigate? Like, why are we all meeting in like Washington? What is that about? And these are siblings that I haven't really talked to because they're my dad's kids, right? And I live with my mom. So fun fact. Um, but I'm just like, wow, what is that about? And I actually saw her in the second time, and then in the third time. Anyway, so it was a thing before I even knew that the records were a thing, and so I'm trying to like restructure some of the stuff. And a lot of times for me, it's all about creating the intent and entering a mode to be able to access it. And I feel like what I struggle with most is like staying in that mode. And that's another reason why I like make the spreads that I make so intentional. It's almost like I try through the intentions that I make it, I try to set that as the default so I don't have to consciously stay in that space. And that's another reason why I wanted to listen to meditation music. And so maybe I'll also like start to put on meditation music when I read, because the music helps remind me or helps serve as a constant reminder of the space that I'm supposed to be in, so my mind doesn't kind of sort of deviate as much. Anyway, I did a few of those, and that's what it sort of came out in. I got the Nocturne, which is the Two of Pentacles, which is all about sort of like, and I'm not gonna go too far into it because this is already long enough. Anyway, the point was that like if I had faced that choice, I wouldn't have had the same trajectory. I wouldn't have had the same healing, and it wouldn't have had the same effect, right? And I would have been a lot more likely to be like, you know what, this isn't something I can even do anymore. I should keep looking at this, or this isn't like. And there was something else that like I've been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with in my mind in my personal life, and I'm just like, I can't keep doing this. I need to make a decision, and that also came out. And I'm just like, wow. Anyway, long story, a little less long. Um, Timing is important. Timing is everything. I didn't miss that opportunity. I mean, I guess I certainly didn't miss the opportunity because it came back around, like I said, and they extended the deadline until the end of the month. And there's all of these different things that are, and they're like, they're so adamant about like, even if you don't think you're going to have it done by the application deadline, submit your application anyway. And I'm like, okay, girl, yes, like work. And which is why I need to hurry up and wrap this up because I got a lot of stuff. And also at the same time, it's like when I opened up my laptop yesterday to do work, I emailed my professor weeks ago. And I was about to open up my laptop and send an email to someone else. My professor is also my advisor. To be like, I haven't heard from them. And as soon as I open up my laptop, he replies to my email that I sent like weeks ago. And now we're getting the ball rolling again. I have answers, like, and everything falls within the timeline to apply for this opportunity. And I'm just like, woo, whoo, whoo, like what's happening? But what that showed me is that like that's a dream that I had given up on. And ultimately at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you don't have to give up on your dreams anymore. Like you have the ability to make them all come true. Which is why for me that choice was so important. It's so important that I make that choice, so important that I choose a direction, because I do have a lot of, and that's another breakthrough I got recently. It's like, it's not that I don't manifest these opportunities for myself, because like early March I was like, why does it seem that like I can manifest all of this stuff for everybody else, but when it comes to myself I can't manifest the things that I actually want? And I had a talk with my mom, because that's kind of sort of one of the things that we have to break. One of the cycles and patterns that I and my mother, like, and my grandma, my family, we're breaking it. But then I had a realization the other day. It's like, it's not that I don't manifest these opportunities. It's just that like when it comes time for me to act on it, I don't do it. Like there are things that I know I need to do to get there, and it's like I dedicate so much time and energy to other people, and when it comes time to other people, it's like I can work that hard to help them, or I can support them that hard. But when it comes time for me to do it for myself, it's like I don't put that same energy and I don't put that same effort into it. And so with that realization, that's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing now. And that's what was highlighted for me as a lesson to learn last semester. So from August to January, or from August to December, like that was one of the highlighted lessons for me, as well as authenticity and a lot of other stuff. Um, and so it's like now I'm in a space to like really claim and really use this stuff, and so I'm gonna do it. But again, like if what happened in March didn't happen, I wouldn't have reached this space. Not only where I learned to like love and care about myself, where I learned to put myself first, but also what it led to was like learning to make decisions and learning to stick by them, learning to actually fight, and learning to believe, and learning to stick by that, and learning to not be so quick, especially at the end of it, right? Like I talked about, not be so quick to manifest things out of a sort of sense of obligation, and out of a sort of duty, and out of a sort of like, this is the flow of life, this is my next step, and then not to take them out of the sense of complacency. It's time to disrupt all of that. And I wonder if the tower will come out. But anyway, Archangel who illuminates the shadows, Archangel of Mysteries, definitely came. And like I said, whenever she popped out, and she wasn't even a feature. It was in that spiritual deprivation tank. She popped out. It's like you're going through this dark space, but you're being guided through it. And she's here to help illuminate some of the things that you're not seeing. And she definitely was. Next, we have Chancellor, that Justice card. So, did I finish talking about Justice? I feel like I'm in this sort of Justice energy because I feel like sometimes I kind of sort of play that arbitrator role. Arbitrator, that's what it is. So, you have adjudicator and then arbitrator. Hey Siri, define arbitrator.
Arbitrator means an independent person or body officially appointed to settle a dispute.
Yes, that's why I was feeling that. So I need to go back and I need to put that on there. Because we have the abdicator into the adjudicator into the arbitrator. And I think the arbitrator is kind of sort of like the last of that. With the abdicator, it was like me not serving in that purpose and in that role. With the adjudicator, it's like kind of sort of like being a person who does it. But with the arbitrator, it's being the person appointed to it. So claiming the role that I'm appointed to do and the ways in my life in which I do it, you don't got to worry about it. Which will lead me to this Ten of Pentacles. And my Jupiter is actually in Libra. Libra is like what rules? You see Libra? It rules justice. Jupiter is the planet that brings you good fortune. Good fortune being the Ten of Pentacles. And that's what's going to lead me to it when I actually take up that role. After that is this demon, though, and the demon followed by the ebony shield, followed by this ace of scepters, sacred fire. And the reason why I pulled the space behind the demon is because, again, with the archangel here, and these cards actually came out together the first time. I was like, you're being put through these dark times, but the angel is here to see you through them. But the reason why I called behind it is because, like, this isn't the end of the story, right? Also, let's see. I love this. This is kind of sort of my story. These cards that just fell out, this is kind of sort of the trajectory that I found myself on. And I'm actually going to look for the strength card because it's important. And I wasn't going to talk about this. The outlaw is sitting right behind the healer. And that's what I was saying. Like, some people see the hangman as stuck, but in reality, if you play the hangman energy right, it's all about going inside, seeing where your internal blockages is, because your internal blockages creates boundaries and walls and barriers on the outside. And once you take them down inside, they just naturally fall down outside, and so you can move a lot quicker. Right? You can run the race and take out the obstacles. And so some people may see, it's like some people are running hamster wheels. Some people are running on a hamster wheel, running in a rat race, looking at other people who aren't moving, calling them stuck. But when a lot of the movement that they're doing is cyclic and repetitive, and it's like, okay, you're moving, yes, you're not just sitting still, but are you going anywhere? And it's that hangman energy that goes inside, that does all of that healing, that does all of that reflection, that reroutes the problems, reconnects the wires, and then when they get up and move, it's like they're basically flying, they're floating through life, because a lot of the obstacles and barriers and boundaries have been taken down and clarified by that, like, healer, by that star energy. That's like, not only was that person inside, but they did that healing, they did that work. Anyway, continuing, I'm not going to get into all of the majors because, again, ooh, and look, we got two majors together again. The New World Order and the Reaper. All right, I'm just looking for the Force. Two majors together again. We have the Warrior and the Emperor. Okay, love that. We have the Keeper by herself. We got the Fool. Oh, and then we have this double Sagittarian energy. Right? Yeah, this double Sagittarian energy with the Sharpshooter and the Angel. Sharpshooter and Temperance. So it's time to move. Let me just find the Force. And here's the Force. Okay, great. Because that is going to illustrate what I need, and I will bring that up when we get to that point in the story. And which is why I'm so glad I read the entry. So anyway, it's like there have been all of these, like, financial blockages, all of these other blockages, all of this super, super, super slow movement when it comes to seeing everything that you want manifest, because these shields have been up, slowing it down. Like I said, like, she's the sturdiest shield, and if she doesn't want to move, she's not going to move. You're not going to get through her. And with the toxic ties here, it created those sort of blockages and boundaries coming right after this 10 of coming right after that 10 of orbs. The dynasty, like, that's what kept everything kind of sort of so slow. But again, it's like And for me personally, it's a maternal line. And that was the kind of like one of the cycles on the maternal side. Like I said, I talked to my mother and my grandmother. And that's just the sort of energy that we sort of fell into. Is like we work so hard for other people and we don't put the same effort into ourselves that when it comes time for us to do something, we have to rely, like I would rely on my mom or my grandma. My mom would rely on me or my grandma, or mostly me, honestly. And my grandma, I mean, I mostly rely on my mom, but my grandma is also there if I need like sometimes like super spiritual advice or just like super mystical, whatever. I don't even know when I go to my grandma, but when I do, she be there with the woo 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 woo. Just like the last time I was like, well, my grandma was high key a full blown indigo, and I had no clue. Anyway, I go to my mom. My mom goes to me, and my grandma goes to my mom. And if my grandma can't get the help from my mom, then she goes to me. Like we rely on each other, but it's like everyone else in our lives kind of sort of rely on us. And I'm like a fixer. I've been like a fixer times 10. It's like I've had all these friends who, whenever they reach like their darkest moments and they can't talk to any of their other friends, they'll come to me. It's like having fair weather friends, but instead of fair weather friends, it's like poor weather friends. I have a lot of poor weather friends. Like people who want to be my friend when they're in the worst of the worst, but as soon as they get better, it's like they go back to their other friends. And it kind of sort of, it didn't build any resentment towards those people really. It just sort of built a, it caused me to erect walls and boundaries and barriers between me and people because it's like I know that this is what people will do. So it caused me to kind of sort of like distance myself in a lot of ways. One of the things that caused me to distance myself in a lot of ways, but it also kind of sort of speaks to the ability that I have. But that's another reason why it was so important that I felt it was so important for me to sort of hide a lot of who I was or who I am when it comes to finding someone because it's like I want someone for me, not for all of this other stuff that I can do. But all of the stuff that I can do, it's part of who I am. It's a part of the me that I want someone to want me for. And like I said, like in a different video, I guess I'll put it all here, compile it, right? Because this is a space we're in this kind of sort of compilation sort of type energy before it, like, oh, just like, oh, what is happening? What is happening? Ah, um, but one of the and again, it kind of sort of it comes to this, very this. One of the blockages that I had on my 3D material was that like I don't want to claim all of this potential. I don't want to claim all this success. I don't want to get this 10 of Pentacles abundance that I know is coming for me before I meet the person I'm supposed to share it with because I don't want that person to want me for my money. I want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt. I want to know 100% that the person that I'm with wants me for me and not for what I have to offer. And that's one way that I was subconsciously creating a lot of barriers and blockages and boundaries to realizing that potential, to making that money, because I had already decided I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to make this, I'm not going to continue down this path until I find a person. And ultimately, it's like the person that you find, I feel like they'll be able to see to your true authentic self in some ways, but also at the same time you're going to attract them when you're being your true authentic self. And so it created this interesting paradox, but as soon as I let that mindset go, that's when things really started to take off for me. Like I said, like that's when like I got the job offers in my email after I was like, you know, if I'm supposed to work with somebody, they'll contact me after I went to the virtual career fair. And they did. And it was a company that I was the most excited for, and they had the location in London and in other places, like I said before, blah, 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 right? This is the path and the trajectory that I'm on. But then that caused me to be in this space to really make decisions. And it was all sort of like based in that blockage. Now we're coming to this Ace of Fire. The fire, when the, like I said, when the moon first went into Aries, it lit my Venus up, and my Venus has been lit ever since. I've been working on healing and reaching towards my grand trine in my chart, because I actually have a lot of fire in my chart, but it's fire that is typically inaccessible. It's a fire that I can't access when I'm just being complacent, because it's locked behind my Chiron and my North Node, right? But that is like my tightest trine. They're all like, what, 17? It's like 17, 17, 19 degrees. in Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So it's a pretty tight like fire trine. But like I said, it's gonna require me to really be on soul purpose and on mission and doing what I know I need to do. But that purifying fire has ignited all of the sort of like stagnancies that I've had in my life. Um, then coming into this Three of Pentacles, what's after the three? The three and then the two. I thought the Ace of Pentacles was here for a second for some reason. Okay. So we have this Three of Pentacles into the Two of Pentacles, right? The Three of Pentacles is all about partnership and it's all about working with someone else. But this Two of Pentacles means that it requires this sort of internal balance here. And this, the Nocturne, this is the first card that came out when... And it was funny because it was like I had the Emperor and the Tower up top in this spread. And I'm not going to go too far into it. But I had the Emperor and the Tower up top in the spread. And then this, the Nocturne, was the first card that came out. And I've never read the entry for this. But I was mostly just looking at titles and I was like, well, what's a Nocturne? And so I guess a Nocturne is kind of sort of like a little song or a little melody that is very dreamy and reminiscent of nighttime, right? So if you think of like a short little song that has this melody, that has this rhythm that is like dreamy and fantasy and reminds you of night, maybe like the type of music that you would listen to while you're in a field gazing up at the stars and like in that space of like really feeling your fantasy, right? But I looked at it, I read the entry and it was like you have the North Node up there and then you have the South Node down here. And the Nocturne is sort of that arbitrator type energy that eases and soothes these transitions between two completely different worlds. It said this top one, this wheel is exactly the Wheel of Fortune. And then on the bottom is that same wheel, but it's all reversed. Right, and it talked about two worlds, creating bridges, soothing transition. And I was like, wow, that fits with that Chancellor Justice Libran energy, that space that I feel like I've been in. You have the Ouroboros, which is there. But the North Node is on this Strength card, on the Force. You see the North Node up there in the stars. So that's the North Node. And then the South Node is actually on this Demon card. If you can see, I believe it's on, yeah, you see in his horns, the South Node. So you have the North Node and the South Node. You have the Force and the Demon. And I've been seeing the Force a lot lately. But then on this card, you have them both there. And it's playing sort of like the balance between them to soothe the transition from north, or from south into the north. And that's why I went looking for the Force card, because I was like, it would be so wild if the Nocturne, after I saw that Demon, I was like, it'll be so wild if the Nocturne is in here, and then a few cards later, here came the Nocturne. I was like, okay, I gotta go find the Strength card to do it. But again, like, this partnership ultimately is going to be hinged on the balance that I create within myself. And this is another reason why I feel like people kind of, and it's interesting because like my whole life I've been this way. I've always been a balance. I've always been the counter to something. And it was a little annoying when I was younger because it was like if a situation was too happy, too positive, too bright, then I would come in and be like this sort of like the little Debbie Downer, and I'd be the realistic one. Not all the time, but if things were too negative, then I would play the role of like, you know, being the happier, more positive one, trying to bring stuff up. And then I got old enough when I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna play the Debbie Downer anymore. And when it's like when I stopped playing the Debbie Downer is when people really started coming to me whenever they were in a bad space to, you know, get brighter. And maybe it's some of the healing that I do, whatever. But it's up for me to like realize this, recognize this, claim it, and serve that balance within myself, because that is what I'm going to, that's the space I need to be in to really claim my role in this partnership. And it took a minute. Honestly, like the February, March readings that I watched were kind of sort of the space that I was in when it comes to progression. And I don't really too much remember the April ones. The April ones were like, whatever. But then I was like, wait, have I been stuck? I was like, have I been like Hangman stuck? And I don't think so. Especially like it's just been this constant series of realizations and revelations that I've been coming into to prepare me for the space that I'm in right now. To give me the intentionality that I'm going to need moving forward, because the time for manifesting as a whatever, like, that's over. Anyway, so there's the Nocturne. That's what came out. I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have read that entry a long time ago. And that Nocturne is actually sitting below this Ten of Pentacles. So again, like, okay, so my Jupiter, I don't think I finished that statement. I haven't finished a lot. I'm just kind of sort of rambling at this point, and this ain't even what I was getting into, but I guess this is going to be all about me. And so maybe I'll title this like my journey, and then I'll actually come back with the daily bite for today. I'll make this 2 separate videos, so y'all ain't gotta watch all the way to the end. But Jupiter is a planet that brings good fortune, and mine is in Libra, but it's in Libra retrograde. My Jupiter is retrograde. Jupiter is about to retrograde. Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus are going to retrograde. And Venus is actually the last planet that goes retrograde, and Venus is the only retrograde I was like looking at. So right now, the nodes just shifted from Cancer North, Capricorn South to Gemini North, Sagittarius South. We're about to have the Scorpio full moon. Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus are about to retrograde, and then we're going to enter eclipse season. So there's a lot of stuff kind of sort of going on, and I'm glad that I've gotten these realizations at the point that I got them before everything kind of sort of like went retrograde, you know what I mean? But Pluto is also retrograde. Anyway, that's enough about the retrogrades. If you want to know about the retrogrades, check out your local favorite astrologer. I just found that out because, again, I watched the Leo King's Deep Love Tarot, and I've been like, I found the Leo King a long time ago. Like, I think last January or February, and it's not that long, like, but in my journey I've only really been like intent, and he said like November 2018 to just now is when the nodes were in Cancer and Capricorn, and I literally had my darkest night like late October 2018. November 18th 2018 is right before I went to London. And that was like, I was maybe like a week into my meditations. I was finally in a space to be better, because after that dark night, that's when I was like, everything has to change. So I didn't even realize that my sort of awakening started when the node shifted into Cancer Capricorn, which makes sense for the Cancer North node, right? But anyway, I found him in like January-ish, and I watched a little bit. I found him because I made another friend. I met quite a few people who like really instructed me on my path. Again, I'm gonna try to keep this short-ish, but I've already dedicated this to a video for me, so I'm not gonna necessarily worry about the length, because if people don't watch, and it's fine. It's just providing a little bit of perspective on my side to, I don't know, somebody else, you know what I mean? Anyway, continuing. So one of my friends who was into astrology, I saw him on Snapchat through a mutual, like what started as a thirst Snapchat follow became like a spiritual Snapchat follow, became like someone who I actually had a bond to or a bond with, which was really weird because I didn't expect it. And like, that's not even like, it was a thirst follow on Snapchat, and he was like the only thirst follow on Snapchat that I still had, or one of the few. And it's like, I didn't even check it that often, because Snapchat I primarily use for like keeping up with friends and like just uploading nonsense. But I started checking him out, noticing that he was like doing meditations in the morning. He got me into Abraham Hicks, and he also introduced me to this astrology guy who also did tarot, right? And so the astrology guy, I was like, oh, like, do you know astrology? And he was like, honestly, man, like, I'm still learning it, but you can like, I can give you your birth chart, and then you just like look up all the stuff. He is one of the people who introduced me to the Leo King, because it's one of the people that he likes, and some other people. After that, I ended up getting into Dolo, because he was like, you know, put in a placement, see who resonates. I was like, okay, Dolo is cool. Then after Dolo, I got into Shonda Rhimes, which was actually more of the astrology for me. And then from there, it moved forward, and it became what it is today. Anyway, so I got into him a while ago. I didn't really like feel him that much, but I've recently started watching his stuff again. Love his astrology perspective. Apparently he's been predicting pandemics since, you know, whatever, because astrologically pandemic is what happens with that Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn conjunction. Why am I talking about the Leo King? I don't know. I can't remember. Oh yeah, because he's the one that was like, I watched him, and he's the one that brought all of these other like retrogrades to mind. I haven't really been following the transits lately, honestly. I just wake up in whatever energy I wake up in, right? I just try to go with it as I feel it and to tackle the things that are relevant that day. Because again, I feel like, the stars play a role, but I feel like the stars. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. Continuing the story, we have this Archangel Commander, which I love. Love. And the Archangel Commander is going to be sitting under the Chancellor, that Justice card. I've been seeing the King of Swords so much, and I didn't know why. My Saturn is in Aquarius. I'm coming up on a Saturn retrograde soon. Or Saturn retrograde. I'm coming up on a Saturn return soon. So I guess, like the Leo King said last night, you're going to experience your nodes flipped before you come into that Saturn return. And that's just the way the timing lines out. And so it's almost going to be like a U-turn. I was going to say a U-haul. It's almost going to be a U-turn, and then that Saturn retrograde comes in. And he was saying that the Gemini North Sagittarius South is a lot more about the experiencing and the doing of things rather than the philosophizing and the thinking, right? And he was saying, like, it's better to be the hare sometimes instead of the tortoise. Because, at the end of the story, the tortoise beat the hare, but that's only because the hare went to sleep, because the hare thought it was so far ahead, but that the hare could have won that race, right? But it's about doing more than thinking. It was like, they both sort of play that aspect of duality. But Sagittarian duality is more of the, like, the prophet, the preacher, like, this is bad, this is good. It's more like absolute truths. Whereas Gemini is kind of sort of like, it's like, instead of verses, I feel like Sagittarian energy is a lot of verses, and Gemini energy can be a lot of ands or like ors, right? Anyway, that's what he was saying about that, and I was like, oh wow. But like, my South Node is naturally in Gemini, and so we're being called to the space of, like, reaching for Gemini. Like, my South Node is there. Like, that's where my comfort is. And like this, like the space that we're coming into is kind of sort of the space that I'm supposed to be getting out of. And it's so interesting because I remember being younger, and I would get upset with my mom sometimes because she wouldn't let me do dumb stuff. And I was like, I don't have any responsibilities right now. Like, I know that this is dumb and I know I shouldn't do this, but while I don't have any responsibilities, I would like to do this. And she was like, no, like, why would I let you know? And I was like, but I'm young and I don't have any responsibility. Like, this is the only time in my life where I can, like, kind of sort of get away with dumb stuff. And it was like dumb stuff that I didn't even necessarily want to do, but I just wanted to do dumb stuff because I had an understanding that, that was the one time in my life where I didn't really have any responsibility, but I didn't do the dumb stuff. So maybe now I should start doing dumb stuff. Not saying that we're going to be doing dumb stuff, but it's like we're going to kind of sort of be doing everything to see if it's what's actually right for us instead of just thinking about it. Because Sagittarian energy, like, it's not like Sagittarian energy isn't going to admit that it's wrong or admit the possibility of it being wrong. But Sagittarian energy also isn't like what actually experienced it. Like, these are like thoughts and conjectures, like philosophy, right? Sagittarius philosophy. Like, this is what you think is going to happen, but you don't have the actual experience, right? Sagittarius, the ninth house, is also about higher education. And so higher education, like, that's all about the theory behind things. It's the theory behind these principles, and it's the hypothesis, but where's the actual testing, right? It's like how, like, you can get a higher education, you can have this degree and that degree, but they're still going to require years of experience in the industry. And you can move up in industry without that formal education by showing that you are able to do those things. And then maybe you, like, get certificates and then you continue your education or whatever. But the ability is recognized. The experience is what's actually valuable, less so than the theory. And this is much more like an experience type of place. So anyway, Archangel Commander here, Angel of Storms and Battles. I'm not necessarily sure why he's here. Coming out after him is the Seeker. Okay. So I feel like with these two, again, that's that Gemini, and these are both air energy. You can see the air, and then this is actually Libra, and no, this is Aquarian energy, because it's fixed air, typically Aquarian energy. But this is all about sort of like getting those experiences through, or gaining that knowledge and gaining that wisdom, getting the refinement through actual experiences. Because the Seeker is the energy, it's like very scientific, it's very Aquarian energy. This is more the astrology. This is like you've gone so far and now you're looking for signs to get you like further, right? Whereas the initiate is the brand new, the new, and then the keeper is the awakened fool, fully awakened. So it's like you're a third of the way there. One of these buds have blossomed. You're requiring or inquiring on further assistance from the divine. But this is going to be assistance that you have to get through experience. And so I feel like that's the space that we've been called into. The seeker is sitting under that archangel of mysteries. And then I have 3 cards left. The necromancer, which is the Pisces card, which is my, I guess, the card I resonate the most with in this deck. Then the convalescent 4 of swords, and then the gardener 7 of orbs, 7 of pentacles. Ending with again this magician card. So I guess I'll set these 3 in the middle. So so the 7 of orbs is coming down. I meant to do it the other way, but that's how it came down, so I'm going to leave it. The 7 of orbs, gardener, came down on top of the mason, which gives you that 10 of pentacles, and here's the 10 of pentacles here. But again, this is like the seeds have already been planted for this. But with the mason, especially in my case, I'm going to have to, because like I do this really annoying thing where I'll learn a lesson, but then I'll forget it. Or I'll learn a lesson, but then I'll act like I didn't learn it. And it's like more annoying to myself than anything, because it's like I already know the answer. Like there would be so many times I would talk to Emily, because, you know, we're on this journey together, and I actually need to call her because it's been a minute. I ain't really been talking to too many people, but but anyway, it's like, ooh, this is gonna be a long video. It's like she'll be like, Patrick, like you already know this, like you've already done this healing, like you just need to do this and you just need to do that, like you already know this. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but that I know but type mess, like it's, yeah, we put that behind us. And that's another thing that I needed to learn, and a lot of that was tied to the indecisiveness and some other things, right? And so it's like you've already planted the seed. You just need to continue to do the part that you need to do to reach this 10. Because the energy of the 10 is here. Like the seeds for the 10, the seeds for that future abundance. Like it's almost like a congratulations. You've set yourself on a path. Oh, I just realized that we go from the Archangel of Mysteries to the Archangel Commander here. Like they're sort of like, and then it's crossed with Justice and the Seeker. This is a whole bunch of air right here. And then Gemini right here. Oh my gosh. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And then we have this Taurian energy just surrounded by this air. This is actually my cousin. My cousin is a Taurus. His wife is a Gemini. Their first kid is an Aquarius. Their second kid is a Libra. I'm like, you're living with a Gemini, a Libra, and an Aquarius. And you're a Taurus, girl. Like, I mean, he's a man, but I'm like, oof. I need to actually check up on him too. He's been on my mind. I'll call him my woke cousin, low key. I'm like, woke cuz, what you got for me? Anyway. So it's like the seeds have already been planted. You've already put yourself on a trajectory to get that 10 of Pentacles, but you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to continue to show up. And it's a collaborative effort. Now we have this, and I guess like, so we have the demon, the mason, and then the gardener. I feel like there have been seeds. It's almost this energy of like, because you see how some of these seeds are lighter and darker than others. It's like, I'm going to say the darker seeds are more nutrient rich, and so they'll actually last. The lighter seeds may not, because it's like they don't have as much within them to grow. But the darker ones are like, you know, more concentrated, whatever. And I guess also like all of the orbs on this card are dark, so hey. Like they're all darker, right? And whenever it comes to like earth, or whenever it comes to grains, if it's bleached, like white bread, other stuff, it's like they're probably taking a lot of the nutrient out of it. And so that's why like the darker ones are more natural, because like the earth is dark, right? So light earth, like what is that, sand? You can't grow anything on sand. Like you can maybe grow some things on sand, but you can't grow like crops in sand, right? But with the demon, it's like letting the bad seeds die by you showing up as what like you're supposed to be doing, the bad seeds will naturally die. You've already planted the seeds to get this Ten of Pentacles, right? Then we have this Ten of Pentacles, the Legacy, the Nocturne, and the Convalescent. I feel like this is resting on knowing that you've already done everything that you need to do. So the hardest part of it is over. A lot of the learning that you need to do is already over. And this just isn't me. This is like kind of, if it resonates, it's kind of sort of in general. Like my specific story may be different than yours, but it's like the things and the lessons that you've been learning have been highlighting it for you, especially within the past 18 months, right? Because it's related to nodal cycles. It's like one nodal cycle helps lead you into another. So within the past 18 months, a lot of this stuff and a lot of the lessons you've been learning, let me move this down so you can actually see it. It's like it's going to propel you forward, and that's what I'm in the space of doing. It's like building upon the things that I've learned and then coming further into those insights. And so this is going to, like, you can rest knowing that that's there. But again, it's like for you to be self-balanced and for you to be self-maintained within yourself. And so it's like it's like, don't, fall asleep on it, but you don't have to stress out about getting it. Right. And it's almost like we're coming into this space. Like there's a peace of mind that you can have now where there was anxiety and worry and fear before. But again, with this Nocturne right here, we have the Demon and we have the Nocturne. The only card that isn't here is the Strength card, and I had to go and look for strength. So you still have to have the strength to do it. So like that's why you can't completely take it easy, but like know that it's already done. But if you don't have the strength to claim it, you can still lose it. I feel like you've done enough work where you won't. Then we have the Chancellor, Archangel Commander into the Necromancer. I feel like this is going to be summoning strength from, there's almost like this past life gift type of feeling. This is reminding me of the Demon, because you see how they're chained together at the bottom, and that's what the devil energy is like. It always shows the lovers chains. Ooh, oh man. Okay, I'm gonna take that for what I needed to take it as. But I feel like this energy is all about stepping into the role that you need to step into to claim all of the things that you know are coming to you. To get this unseen abundance with the Chancellor and the Archangel Commander. Like this is the space that I need to step into for myself, personally. Whatever you need to step into, you need to make sure you're doing that to claim everything that's coming back to you. Because the Necromancer, it is the moon, but that's an energy of like deep regeneration and deep revitalization, right? The moon card, Pisces is the natural ruler, but the moon pulls tides on all water. So you kind of sort of like, there's this extreme Pisces focus on it, but Pisces is kind of sort of also the in-between Scorpio and Cancer, because it's the mutable between the cardinal and the fixed, again. But it's like they all have this energy, and I'm getting heavy Scorpio vibes from this card because it's such deep, deep, deep transformation. But it's like a revitalization, phoenix rising from the ashes type of feeling. But it's like, this isn't a phoenix rising from the ashes. This is like the man awakening to the realization that he is the phoenix. And then we have the scarab here, that is sort of symbolic of Capri, a sun god, right? Or sun goddess. Is Capri a goddess? I can't remember. But we have the sun playing this minor influence on the moon right here. Oof, love that. Okay. So this is where I'm going to end this video. I'm going to throw strength in here. I guess I'll throw it right here. So we have the Archangel of Mysteries, the Seeker, and the Strength. It's like you went into this darkness. You were protected in this darkness. You were asking these questions in that darkness, maybe related to sort of like this space that you needed to come into with the Lovers card, the Lovers and the Magician. So yeah, maybe it's about making choices and manifesting those things. Making the choice and then manifesting it. And they're kind of sort of intersecting at the Seeker space. Right? So the choice was made between the Archangel of Mysteries and the Seeker. And then the manifestation comes from the Seeker to the Force, which is Strength, which actually 100% totally makes sense. And then you see the snakes here, and then that same sort of like thing mirrored here. But yeah, like it's gonna require the strength. Like that's why you went into that darkness, to find the strength to get you to do this yourself. There's a lot of like, this is a DI. This is gonna be like a DIY abundance moving forward. Like you're gonna get the opportunities, but you're gonna have to take them. You're gonna have to take these experiences, learn what you need to learn, and then turn it into gold, right? And I feel like one of the okay, I just got a few like fairy tale references. I feel like one of the tricks is gonna be, let me move this back down. Boom. Ooh, hoo, hoo. And I'm gonna take a picture of this. Hold up, hold up. And then I guess I'm gonna put this on the thumbnail. Part of me is like, I don't want to invest as much time into the thumbnails, and I don't want to make the video as long as I make this one, because there are other things that I need to be doing right now. Like I said, like things are beginning to move, and I basically have a limited time to do them. It's limited time, but it's not anything that I can't do. Like I've said in the past, I'm really good under pressure, and I can shine under pressure, and so everything that I need to do is within my capability to do it. But I want to be wise with my time and very intentional at the same time. So let me try to hurry up and get to whatever I was saying. And then over here we kind of have the ebony shield and the sacred fire, which is interesting because it's kind of sort of the same space. Like either you're going to be guarded and you're going to take like this very, very limited portion. Oh, I literally just realized that the king and the queen of pentacles energy is both here. And then we have the ten of pentacles. There's a lot of earth on this chart on the table, but again, this was kind of sort of like my rendition of the story, how I played these energies out personally, and then you can extrapolate to your own situation to maybe, hopefully not hopefully, but to maybe find some similar things within you and whatever your soul calling is. Right, this is me for mine, and this is confirming a lot of the things that I've already done for me. But it's like either you take this brand new fire, ace of wands, sacred fire, and then the magician. Love that. And then you can actually see all of the orbs in the lover's card, and then you have the queen of orbs right there. She's actually holding the apple that is in that tree. That is the 10th orb that actually gets you to that dynasty, right? Because you can see the completed tree here, and then you see the top 9 on the right, and then the last one on the left. But she's holding that last one, and so if you're too guarded, if you're not willing to move, like you're gonna miss out. But that is what that is. Okay, I think I can shut this down now. I think I was talking about something and I forgot, but fill in the rest. Like either choose something new or stay stuck. I mean, but we're getting to that time where, like, at least for me in my life, things are like moving, and it's like we're putting the finishing touches on this before we roll it out. If there's anything that you know you need to do to claim this, do it now. Because with the nodes just now shifting, with everything going retrograde, it's like I feel like there's this little window before it all sort of happens. And I was gonna say something else, maybe related to this necromancer, but I can't remember. And then with this 10 of pentacles, something about the retrogrades and that 10 of pentacles, maybe that's just for me, I don't know. I mean, you can't tell everybody everything. I mean, even if you do, folks still got to do it. But all right, I'm gonna shut this down here, start this uploading. Actually, no, I'm gonna record the next video and then I'll just upload both of them. All right, bye. Have a good whatever whenever you see this.